Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dana and thanks again for watching. Today I'm sitting down to review the new in from Beauty of Joseon. I'm trying to say it properly. I believe it's Joseon. I've been saying Joseon, so we'll say the proper pronunciation. But this is their new Daily Tinted Fluid Sunscreen. It comes in 12 different shades and it retails for $20 on their website. But it's pretty much always $16. I bought it twice because I got the wrong shade at first, and then I bought a new one. So each one was $16. I don't know what they're doing, but that's what it was. And I also recommend, before we get into it, that you do buy it on their website. They do ship in America, so you're not getting it necessarily from Korea, but I strongly suggest that you do not buy them on Amazon. There are so many knockoffs and fakes over on Amazon that I just don't trust it, and it's too important. It's sunscreen. You need to get it from a reputable dealer or just their website. So that's my little caveat, but we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna apply it to my face like always. I am in natural lighting. That's what I'm trying to do these days. So, you see some shadows and whatnot, but that does give you, I think, a little bit more of a realistic view of what it looks like. And I will do close-ups and I will tell you what it's been wearing like for me. I will tell you all the specs and all of it. And honestly, I haven't done like a single sunscreen review in a long time, so I'm kind of excited for this. So, and that said, I do actually have quite a few more coming because I feel like everyone is launching for the summertime here in America. So if you're watching this, I will have the Supergoop Glow Screen Mineral coming soon, and then there's a new one from Live Tinted. So be on the lookout if you like sunscreen reviews. And we'll get into it right now. So you guys know that I have to put my hair up. They're just the rules. I don't make them. They are what they are. I also have my 1/4 teaspoon. It's a quarter on both sides. I always do that for reviews, but I also always do that in my daily life. There are some exceptions to that rule. I got one recently. What was it? Oh, it's the, that's another review coming. It's the new Versed makeup / skincare. And I knew from like one swatch that that is not going to be one that I use as 1/4 teaspoon. That is going to be a pure makeup sunscreen. So, there's certain exceptions, but I would never wear that alone. So this is what a 1/4 teaspoon looks like. Whoa, you can't see that, sorry. This is super fluid, so it's very hard to show you. That also means that it's a little bit harder if you adhere to the 2 or 3 finger length method. So just keep that in mind. I have done it, but it's so fluid that it runs everywhere. So with all that said, I'm gonna zoom you in and I'm gonna fast forward it and apply it to my face and tell you all about it. So Beauty of Joseon is a popular brand from Korea. They have skincare and sunscreens, and I believe this is their first, at least in the US, tinted mineral sunscreen. I have seen on Instagram, there's a little hesitation about the UVA protection, just because it is using US filters, and sometimes US filters are not as great when it comes to UVA, especially with a mineral sunscreen. When you have just zinc oxide, it doesn't always protect you from UVA. So just keep that in mind. I haven't seen the actual research from Beauty of Joseon, which is something that they, should be presenting. A lot of brands do that and back up their protection with actual scientific studies. This is not a water resistant sunscreen. So that said, this is not going to be one of those ones that I go to when I need super high protection if you're out at the beach or you're at a football game in direct sun all day. This is a tinted formula, as you can see. I have the shade LP110. I did start off with the darker shade, which is MP200, and that shade was just too deep on me. And that is one of the things that I'm going to get into in a second about the shades. But they do have a pretty light natural finish. You can see when I applied this that when I do cover my eyebrows, which I just go all over my face, there is a light coverage. You can see when I put it on my eyebrows, but it's not anything super heavy. And if you are looking for something to cancel out a lot of redness or to give you more coverage, this is not one. It's a very, very sheer coverage, which I do like. It's really good for those kind of no makeup days. Beauty of Joseon says that this is hydrating and lightweight, and I would agree with one of those, but not both. I would say that it's lightweight, and initially it is hydrating, but I'm gonna get into that in a little bit when I give you my final thoughts, because I wouldn't go to this if you have dry skin or incredibly or your skin is in need of extra hydration. As far as extracts, we have rice extract, green tea extract, and niacinamide. I honestly wish they would just take the niacinamide out because it's one of those ingredients that so many skincare products have it these days and it's not necessary. And a lot of people's skin, because of the kind of influx of niacinamide everywhere, it can become irritated. And I know that a lot of people out there just kind of are a little cautious of it. So I don't think it's adding anything that you're not getting elsewhere. And I wish they would have kind of taken that out. But I also always say, for the most part, not every time, but don't go to your sunscreen for skincare. If you want, do your skincare before, do it at night. Sunscreen should be meant really just for sunscreen, with the exception of a few sunscreens out there. As far as the white cast, since this is tinted and you can buy one of 12 shades that hopefully suit your skin tone, it shouldn't have a white cast, but it kind of depends on the tones and if one of them fits your skin tone. As far as the finish on this, I would say that it has a little bit of a natural finish. I would say maybe a little radiant, but not entirely too radiant. It does dry down as the day goes on, but it never does set down, which is something I'm going to get into in a little bit. The other thing is it kind of depends, and this is always the case. I'm going to take my hair down now that we're ready to talk. This is the case with every skincare and sunscreen product, is that it depends on your skin type, it depends on where you live, it depends on lots of factors. But this sunscreen for me has a nice natural kind of radiant finish. Now, depending on what I wear underneath, I can make it more glowy, or I can make it a little less dewy, but not entirely matte at all. And honestly, the shade for me is a little too light. So if you're looking at like my chest and body, it's gonna be a little bit darker. I wear sunscreen, but it's still, I just get sun. And my face looks a little like white, a little pale. And that's because the difference in the shades that I am at, it's either this light shade, which is the deepest of the light shades, or the lightest of the medium shades. The medium shade is too dark on me. The light shade is a little too light on me. So we're gonna get into that in a second when I talk about the shades. I also forgot to mention, as far as your filters, this one has zinc oxide. It's got 20.9% zinc oxide, but it's sneaky. It does have butyllactyl salicylate. I didn't see that at first. I really thought I looked on the packaging and everywhere, and then I went to the Beauty of Joseon's website and I did see butyllactyl salicylate. I don't have an issue with that, but some people out there do. If their skin does not react well with chemical filters, it can be kind of an irritant. And this is one of those filters where they don't actually have to advertise that it basically is a hybrid sunscreen. It has a mineral and a chemical filter, but it is. Because it's not considered one of the active ingredients. It's kind of just put into the active or into the ingredient list. But I always like to call it out because if you know about this and you know your skin doesn't like chemical filters, this just takes this one out of the running for you. They do say on their website, and I have not tried this, so I'm going to try it with you guys. They say after you apply it, for a more kind of like seamless finish, to take a sponge and kind of just blend it out with that. Now, I wouldn't do that right away just because I always find that, you know, that can take away some of the sunscreen, and especially if you're not applying the correct amount, you're just taking a little bit away. But this does kind of tamper down any of the glow that you might have. And this could go for all sunscreens. This is really not a revolutionary idea. But I would recommend, if you are doing something like that, or if you're applying it with a brush or something, then you're gonna need more sunscreen because you are losing some of the product to either the brush or the sponge. Okay, so I think I've told you pretty much all of the kind of specs about the sunscreen and kind of some of my initial thoughts. Now, I do always wanna recommend you use either 1/4 teaspoon or try to use the 3-finger length method. That is the best way to get the proper protection. If you're not using either of those things to get 1/4 teaspoon, just consider that you're not actually getting the recommended or the actual listed amount of SPF. So this one is SPF 40. So if you use a little bit less, you're maybe getting SPF 30, or, you know, you just don't know. Okay, so let's get into my final thoughts about this sunscreen. As you can see, I've been talking for 18 minutes, which is a long time. And one of my biggest complaints about this sunscreen is, even though it looks like it has set, is that streaking? Oh wow, we've got some peeling. You guys are seeing this in real time. This has never actually done that to me. I have seen some reviews where it has pilled on people. So that's kind of a new development. It's not bad, it just kind of needed to be blended out. But that's not what I was gonna say. The first thing I was gonna say is it never fully sets down. Even though my face looks quite nice, I think the finish is beautiful, it always feels just a tad bit greasy, and it almost has like a silicone-y feel to it, which for me is not ideal. I want glowy, yes, but I want it to not feel like it's moving around on my face. Because if it's moving around on my face, that means like if I swipe here and because it's so movable, that I might not have any protection there. For me, that's a big kind of minus, I guess. You can set it with a powder or put makeup on over top, and I think that would really help alleviate the kind of the moving and the malleability of it. But I've been just testing it on a dry face with nothing else on, no makeup or anything, just to kind of get a sense of it. And that has been one of my biggest complaints. My other big complaint, I have normal skin, balanced, pretty normal. It gets a little bit more oily in the summertime in my T-zone, and it gets maybe a little drier in the winter, but nothing crazy. But this has felt pretty drying on my skin. I went out one day, it was a little bit colder, a little windy, and by the time I got home, my face felt like it was like parched and like a desert rock. It just felt very dry, and I think I'd even put skincare on. Like today, when I tested out for these videos, I don't put any skincare on just because I want you to see what it would look like without any other factors. But that day, it was feeling very dry, and I had put on some serums and a moisturizer, so that was kind of odd. The other thing I wanted to mention is while it does have 12 shades, the brand came out with 12 initially, which is great. Those shades feel so off to me, and I'm going to insert a picture here because they just feel like really big jumps, and this is not unique to just this brand. I mentioned that Versed just came out with their SPF skin tint, and they're the same. It's like this jump between the light and the medium is so broad, especially because I think that's where a lot of people lie, in those in-between stages or shades, and that could go for the medium to dark as well. They do have darker shades, which is exciting because a lot of Korean brands just kind of leave out that population, which is sad. But I think there is room for growth. And while I'm proud that they have come out with 12, because some brands launch with like 4 in the beginning, Beauty of Joseon is a big enough brand that really they could come out with a little bit of a better, more nuanced shade range. And maybe I'm just saying that because it doesn't fit for me, but now, you know, it happens to people all the time. Okay, so final thought. Do I recommend this? No. I don't think it's anything that is that special. I think there are quite a few other tinted mineral sunscreens out there that could do the job. I'm gonna list some below. If you are interested, I will list them in the description. But also, just kind of shop your stash. You probably have something like this, and it's probably not gonna like change your life immensely. But also it's $16, $20. So if you want to pick it up and try it out, it's not going to break the bank probably. So that's what I have on this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.